Most people don't fail because they are weak. They fail because they think too small. What if I told you that the size of your life will never be bigger than the size of your thinking? This is not just a story, it is a warning, and it might change the way you see your future. In the early 1900s, in the old American city of Boston, lived a young man named Edward Whitmore. Edward was not born into wealth. He had no powerful connections, no special education. No one believed he was destined for anything great. Every morning, Edward worked as a dock clerk, recording shipments arriving from distant cities like Philadelphia, Charleston, and New Orleans. He watched massive ships come and go, carrying goods, money, and opportunity. And every evening, he returned to his small rented room, lit by a single oil lamp, with one painful thought repeating in his mind: "Is this all my life will ever be?" The people around Edward had already decided his future. They told him to be realistic, to be grateful, to stop dreaming. They said people like us are not meant for big lives. Slowly, Edward began to believe them. He told himself he was not smart enough, not rich enough, not lucky enough. Without realizing it, he did something dangerous. He shrank his dreams until they fit inside his fear. One cold, rainy evening, Edward boarded a train heading toward Philadelphia for a routine delivery assignment. The train was nearly empty, except for one elderly gentleman sitting calmly by the window. His name was Arthur Caldwell. Arthur noticed the exhaustion in Edward's eyes and spoke softly. "Young man, you look like someone carrying a heavy load, not on your back, but in your mind." Edward smiled politely, unsure how to respond. Then Arthur asked a simple question that froze Edward in place. "What do you want your life to become?" Edward had never been asked that before. After a long pause, he answered honestly, "I want something better than this, but I don't think I'm meant for more." Arthur looked at him and said words that would echo in Edward's life forever. "You are not limited by your position. You are limited by the size of your thinking." Arthur explained that the world does not reward effort alone. It rewards vision. Small thinking keeps a man busy. Big thinking changes destinies. He shared that years earlier he himself had been a factory worker in Newark, laughed at for dreaming beyond his circumstances. "But the moment I allowed myself to think bigger than my situation," Arthur said, "my life began to change." Before leaving the train, Arthur handed Edward a small notebook. "Write big thoughts here," he said, "not plans, beliefs." That night, Edward opened the notebook. His hands trembled. After a moment, he wrote his first big belief: "I will not live small because others think small." Then another: "I am capable of more than my past." And another: "I will think big even when results are small." Nothing around Edward changed overnight, but something inside him did. From that day on, Edward began to see what others ignored. While others complained, Edward learned. While others waited, Edward prepared. While others feared failure, Edward imagined success. He studied shipping routes. He learned trade systems. He observed how business flowed through Baltimore, Savannah, and New Orleans. People laughed at him. "Why dream so high? Know your place." But Edward remembered Arthur's words. "Big thinking feels uncomfortable because it stretches you beyond who you are." 5 years later, Edward made a decision that terrified him. He left his secure job. With borrowed money and endless doubt, he started a small logistics operation connecting old port cities. At first, he failed. Ships were delayed, money disappeared, support vanished. There were nights Edward lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if small thinking would have been safer. Then he asked himself one powerful question: what happens if I think even bigger? Instead of retreating, Edward expanded. He partnered, he innovated, he took calculated risks, and slowly the world began to respond to his vision. Within a decade, Edward Whitmore owned one of the most respected shipping enterprises along the eastern coast of America. But here is the truth. His success did not begin with money. It began with thinking big. Years later, Edward became the old man on the train, and whenever he saw doubt in someone's eyes, he asked the same question Arthur once asked him: how big are you allowing yourself to think? Because small thinking creates small lives. Big thinking creates new realities. If you feel stuck today, remember this: you do not need permission to think big. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need approval. Think bigger than your fear. Think bigger than your past. Think bigger than your surroundings. Because the power of thinking big is the power to change your life.